Imagine this. You open Santa's brand new message portal, and instead of seeing wish lists from excited kids, the screen suddenly pops up an alert box. And then another. And another. Messages are turning into code. Search terms are running scripts. And even Santa's letters are triggering pop-ups. That's not a glitch. That's cross-site scripting. And today, we're breaking down exactly how attackers turn innocent input fields into running JavaScript, how they steal cookies, hijack accounts, and inject malicious payloads, all inside day 11 of tryhackme's Advent of Cyber. Let's dive into it.
You see, after last year's automation and tech modernization, Santa's workshop got a new makeover. Miss Kitty has a secure message portal where you can contact her directly with any questions or concerns. However, lately, the logs have been lighting up with unusual activity, ranging from odd messages to suspicious search terms. Even Santa's letters appear to be scripts or random code. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is dig through the logs, uncover the mischief, and figure out who's trying to mess with Miss Kitty.
All right, that's better. Now, before we start breaking things, let's talk about what cross-site scripting is in plain English. Cross-site scripting lets attackers inject malicious JavaScript into a website. And when a site doesn't sanitize user inputs, the browser treats that input as code. That leads to stealing session cookies, fake login pop-ups, redirecting users, defacing pages, or just causing pure chaos, which the bandit bunnies specialize in. There are a few types of XSS, but today we're focusing on two. Reflected cross-site scripting, which is immediate. It's what happens when the app takes your input and reflects it straight back to you. And stored cross-site scripting, the dangerous kind. The payload gets saved on the server, and everyone who visits that page triggers it. And that's exactly what's happening here in Miss Kitty's message portal. Okay, before we can actually begin, let's go ahead and fire up our attack box by clicking the start button here. That will actually spawn our Kali Linux machine. And also, while that's starting up, I'm going to go ahead and click to start the target machine. That's Miss Kitty's vulnerable message portal. Let's let those things cook for a second here. Okay, our attack box is live. I'm going to go ahead and go to Firefox here and paste the target IP address from the room. And here we go. We are looking at the message portal. Now, to understand XSS, we need to find a place where the website takes our input and tries to do something with it. Let's start with reconnaissance. I'm looking at this search bar, and I'm just going to type the word test here and click enter. And look at that. The page reloads and reflects the text right back at me. Search results, test. This is reflection in reflected cross-site scripting. The server took my input and put it directly into the HTML of the page. Now, here's what you need to know. If the developer did their job, the browser should just treat this as plain text. But if they didn't sanitize the input, as in if they didn't clean it up, we might be able to trick the browser into thinking that our text is actual code. Let's put our hacker hat on now, and instead of a word, let's type a command. Let me zoom in here so you can actually see what we're going to do. I'm going to start by typing a standard HTML script tag. Let's go ahead and do script, alert, reflected XSS, and then we're going to close that script. This script tag tells the browser, hey, stop reading text and start running instructions. The alert function is just a harmless way for us to prove that we have control. It just makes a pop-up box. I'm crossing my fingers here, and let's go ahead and hit search. And boom, just like that, we got a pop-up. This confirms the vulnerability. The browser didn't see this as text. It saw it as code and actually executed on it. Because the application detected that we successfully ran script, it just went ahead and gave us the flag, as you can see here. So let's go ahead and copy and paste that in. And yes, we got our first flag. But we're not done here. That was reflected cross-site scripting. It's temporary. It only happens because I sent the request. Now, let's escalate that to something more dangerous, stored cross-site scripting. Let's go ahead and scroll down to the send a message form here. This section here is different. When I type a message in here, the site isn't just reflecting it back once, it is saving the message into a database so McSkitty can read it at a later time. If we inject code here, it becomes a watering hole attack. We set a trap and anyone who visits the page gets hacked. Let's use our alert payload again here and see what we can do. Okay, let's go ahead and copy and paste that here. And I'm going to click send. Now, watch this. You can see that our code ran here. I'm going to go ahead and click the refresh page button. And there it is. I didn't type anything at all into the page this time. The page loaded and then it pulled the malicious comment from the database and the code ran automatically. That is stored cross-site scripting, and that is why this is such a critical thing to patch. This actually gives us the answer to the first question in the room. Which type of cross-site scripting attack requires payload to be persisted on the back end? Well, we just proved it. Reflected cross-site scripting happens once and vanishes, but this attack just got saved and persisted on the back end of the server. So the answer here is definitely stored cross-site scripting. Boom, we got another answer right. And just because we triggered the alert, the room also gave us our second flag, as you can see here. So let's go ahead and copy and paste that over. And we did it. It is as crazy as that. Now, before we wrap things up though, I want to show you the blue team perspective here. Let's go ahead and scroll down to the system logs here. Look at all this red, potential cross-site scripting detected. We broke in, but we were noisy. The server logs showed exactly what we did. In a real job, you would use these logs to identify the breach. And if you're the developer fixing this, you would need to stop using functions like inner HTML and start using safer alternative like inner text. That forces the browser to treat user inputs as harmless text. All right, that wraps up day 11 of the advent of cyber cross-site scripting. Today, we triggered reflected cross-site scripting and fired stored cross-site scripting attacks. As you can see, we watched the logs light up and learned how attackers smuggle JavaScript into website. And of course, a big shout out to tryhackme for another fun Advent of Cyber challenge. If you're following along at home, keep pushing. This series builds real cybersecurity skills. And if you're new here to the channel, I help people break into tech and cybersecurity with hands-on learning and honest advice. Hit subscribe, drop a like, and until next time, keep learning.